whether or not like they're closing games or not. If you're staying consistently close with every team, especially after all these roster changes, you're probably sitting in a comfortable spot. You just got to clean up a couple things and then close out the actual maps.
There's a lot of people who do go in solo queue into ranked. Man, for those people who do it, God bless them, because you either have to be one just gritting through it
Mhm.
and trying to be the guy to do it all, or hopefully you're at a rank enough or just got people around you that are relatively competent and understand how to play the game. Welcome everybody to episode number 217 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing today, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. Minus the weather. Gotta
Yes,
bring that
bro.
up. But other than that, you know,
Dude,
decent day.
I was just talking to my roommate about it, and then I was talking to one of my buddies at work about it. It's depressing, bro. We were doing well. We were having nice sunny days, and then this weekend was just disastrous. It's just rain
Yeah.
all day. And then I wake up this morning and it's like basically black outside. I could just see it. I could see the raindrops in the puddles. I'm like already in a bad mood, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we already predicted the tease that we had when it was like 60s, 70s. Or no, not 70s. It was like 60s,
But
like
just
that short
sunny,
week. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Now it's just April showers, probably for the whole month.
I know, and I mean, I got my vacation coming up in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be so pissed if it's just gonna be pouring rain the entire time. I don't know about by
Yeah.
you, but by me, it was snowing this morning.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
what is that?
I heard it's snowing this weekend too
Yeah,
over there.
and none of it's sticking, of course,
Yeah.
but just the fact that I
Mhm.
see any snow coming down, I'm losing my mind. I have to be
Mhm.
wearing flannels and wearing jackets and being like, okay, we can't, make sure that kids are inside for school or they can't have recess outside. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just getting rain over here. For the most part, we only get rain here, which I mean, I'll take that over snow, but
Right, right.
it does suck. I'd much
Yeah, it does.
rather it be sunny.
Yeah, it just puts you, like I said, it puts you in a bad mood. Just
Yeah.
like, when I wake up and I see it's sunny, the vibes are immediately up. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
here we go. Like, I'm looking forward to the day. It's gonna be good. When I see it just gray, I'm all depressed. I'm like, brother, I don't want to be doing this.
No, yeah, literally.
And then I've got grades due for was it Wednesday? So I'm
Mhm.
waking up this morning, I'm like at work, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, yeah, bro, I could hear the rain dripping down, and I'm like, I have to do all this work. I was like, man, things
Just
suck right now.
yeah, just depressing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And then I mean, speaking of depressing, there was one person that made a comment on one of our episodes and was like, "You guys talk too much about the weather." Well, here's their
Man, get the hell
maybe
up.
maybe click off. Well, sorry, we're your weekly weathermen
Yeah, I
over
know,
here, right?
bro. So, dude, but actually shifting off that, I gotta tell you, because yesterday, in the morning, I was out and I was hanging with one of my buddies and went to this game shop. This is for
Mhm.
the people on YouTube. You could see this, bro. Look what I bought, dog.
Oh, a PSP? Dude,
Dude,
what gen is that?
it's the first gen, bro.
Oh, you bought the first gen PSP?
Yeah, yeah, dude. When you open this up, you can hear this with the ASMR people.
Yeah.
Dude,
What
this
games did you
thing,
buy with it?
so the only games that I ever had on the PSP, I had 4 games. I had, one of them was Daxter, because I'm a
Mhm,
big Jack Daxter fan, so they did, like, a single, game just based off of him. There was an Avatar: The Last Airbender game,
mhm.
um, and then there was a Need for Speed game, which I bought. That was the game that I had growing up, and then, I had a Ratchet& and Clank game. The only games that I bought, though, were the Daxter game and the Need for Speed game.
Mhm.
Um, so I've got the 2. I don't know if I'm gonna add any more. Dude, this Need for Speed, bro, what is this market? It was $25. You kidding me, bro?
Dude,
I'm like,
$25.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, the PSP was $100,
Mhm.
you know?
That's
I
I
mean,
mean,
it was a pure nostalgia buy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was talking to my friend about it, man. When I picked this thing up, it's one of those things you realize, like, I haven't held a PSP in probably 15 years,
Mhm.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a weird phenomena to think that there's some gaming things, like, think about the last time we logged into or played a match on Modern Warfare 3. How
Yeah.
many years ago that was? There was a day where we played our last match,
Oh,
and there
yeah.
was a day where I played my last game on the PSP. So then I picked this thing up, and I'm just
Mhm.
holding it, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude. I haven't held one of these like, I'm pushing 30, bro." And
Yeah,
now I'm
yeah.
holding this thing. I must have been like, I mean, I think the game when it came out or when the PSP came out, it must have been like 2007, 2008.
Must
Um,
have. I never owned a PSP.
dude, when I opened this thing up or like, charged it and then had it like reset, it had me set the date. The
Yeah.
date was 2008,
Oh, that's
which
crazy.
was crazy. I was like, "Holy shit." I'm like, "Let's go up to
Oh,
2025, bro." I'm
yeah.
like, we're a few years past that now. Um, but man, talk about a trip down memory lane.
Mhm.
Unbelievable playing it. And dude, this was such a good console, bro. This thing
Mhm.
was so good. Like,
Yeah.
it operates pretty well for the time.
I never owned one. I was always a Nintendo kid. So I always had a Game Boy or a DS. That was like my handheld.
Yeah. And that's same thing with those. Like, my friend I went with, he still plays those. Like he has his Game Boy Color and stuff.
Mhm.
And I don't know, man. I think those consoles, I think a lot of them were way ahead of their time. Like the
Yeah.
whole idea of handheld gaming like that, those consoles hold up way more, I think, than some other consoles that we go back and look at.
Mhm.
At least for being pioneers in handheld gaming,
Yeah.
they did a really good job at it.
Yeah. I have, an emulator, like, up on my shelf with, like, a bunch of games still
Yeah.
on it, but I also have my DS and my Game Boy Color still.
Yeah, and he had the original Game Boy, which
Yeah.
that's the only one that I have. I was never into Nintendo, but they have the original one there, and he's like, "Oh, it's got the manual with it too." And I said, "Okay, that's cool. Like, how much is
Mhm.
it?" And he's like, "It's $150." And I was like, "Damn, dude." I said, "I have one of these." And he's
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, it's about $100, you know?" He's like, "If it's in decent shape." But he
Mhm.
says that people go and mod them. He's like, "People
Yeah, yeah,
spec
yeah.
them out and they do all this crazy stuff, and then you could turn around and sell them for a couple $100,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
I
crazy.
I have a I don't have a modded Game Boy, but I have, a modded, like, emulator.
Yeah.
So it has, like, thousands of games on it.
Right, right. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to have all of them and just be able
Mhm.
to, I don't know. That's one thing I don't like about this thing is, um, if I wanna go and play a bunch of games, like, I obviously have to go and buy them, you
Well,
know?
I can mod the PSP for you and
Yeah,
put
that that would be sick.
I've looked into getting modded, like, getting a PSP and then just modding it, and then
Yeah,
but the emulator I have has PSP games.
but yeah, that's sick
Yeah.
because I think it's your Xbox is like that, isn't it? It's like a
Yeah, it's
jailbroken
modded.
Xbox? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many games that I do wanna play on here. Of course, that Avatar game, like, I don't even know if I can find that. I'm sure it's out there somewhere,
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure you can.
I'd have to go on eBay or something and probably pay some guy $30 and then
Yeah.
$15 in shipping to get this
Mhm.
game that
See,
I'm
what's
gonna
crazy is that those like, I remember when I got my Game Boy Color, it was like $100, like, back then,
Right.
and now you can buy it for $100 for $100 still, but
Yeah.
back then, $100 was not, what it's worth today,
Right,
obviously.
right. Yeah, I don't know what the exchange rate is or, like, how inflation has messed with it because I feel like the PSP was probably 150, $200 when it came out, if I had to guess. I'd be
Yeah, I
surprised if
don't
it was
know.
$100 from Sony,
Mhm.
I feel like it would have been a
Probably
lot
more, like
more.
200 bucks.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's like you're seeing it I know it's only handheld, like, you couldn't hook it up, um, but seeing that with the Switch too, like, that
Yeah.
whole, showcase that they had for it, I think what did they say it was gonna be, like, 400 or
So, I think it's
450, somewhere around
450.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depending on what like, how many gigs you get.
yeah.
I think the
That's
original Switch that came out was, like, 300 if you got, like, the base model,
yeah.
or 350, something like that.
Yeah, dude, $450 for that console to me is insane. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be playing a lot of games on it.
well, yeah, dude, and then the games that they're gonna be putting out, like they've got that open world Mario Kart that's gonna be $80, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they said it's gonna be at? That's insane, bro. We talked about this. We predicted this shit.
Yeah,
GTA has screwed up everything.
and it's
All
not
the
even out yet.
it's not even out. You know, we got the $80 release for this game before GTA 6. Like,
Yeah.
they're all I think there's gonna be a real problem with, game developers following suit with this. Um, and the line, between games that deserve to be in that 80 to $100 price tag is gonna be blurred. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's just gonna be saying, like, watch Ubisoft, people, "Oh, the new Assassin's Creed that we put out, it has more content than it's ever had before." Bro, it's still terrible. Like, don't
Yeah.
you dare start charging me 80,
Well,
$90, you know, it's
these
like, it's the entire world that you can use in the game.
yeah, these games just aren't they're not I don't care how much content you put in it. Like, the game has to be good.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, well, back in the day, it didn't matter how much content you put into it. It was just a $60 game, and it was
Yeah,
a good game for the most part.
and yeah, and I don't know why we were straying away from that. I don't know why we're thinking that or these developers are thinking that the consumer is gonna be willing to pay that when
Why? Because we do.
well, that's the problem. I think there's just a lot of people who are stupid,
They're
and
they're they're just
I think
gonna they're forced to.
yeah, well, that's either they're forced to or they just take advantage of these people who are idiots who wanna go and pay upfront all that money for a game that's a real gamble, you
Mhm.
know? I mean, man, I really think nowadays, if you're gonna be buying a game at launch, it's either you're a diehard fan of this game, like, you know, you're loving like, you're crazy for the series, or I mean, you just got fucking money to blow, you know?
Yeah.
I don't see how you could on Assassin's Creed with like, everything that they've gone through, you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go put $70 on this. I'm gonna pre-order this game," you
Yeah.
know? It's such a gamble, and then the
Yeah.
game comes out, and it's like a 6.5 out of 10. It's like, what'd
Mhm.
you expect?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. I feel like people very casual gamers, they just go and buy whatever. Like, I don't really think they're thinking too much about it, and then, they're out like 70 bucks, and the game to them, they're not sitting down playing for hours, so they think it's alright,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and then they just do it again, and then they don't realize how much money they spent over time on all these games.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to relate to it because that type of gamer is so different, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
you and I have so many games in our back catalog that we already own and play, and we're already pretty particular about games we play. But there's people out there who have a PS5 and call themselves gamers, but they have 2 games,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, so,
It's like
they'll only buy it's like the people that only buy, like, sports games, like, every single year, and it's just crazy to me, the people that do that when, like, you're spending like, nearly $500 on a console for, like, 2 games,
right.
like, essentially, like, that's very, very casual, and to
Yeah,
be honest, like, I know a decent amount of people that do that, like, they just buy a console just because of the hype of it, and then they just buy Madden, like 2K, and like that's really it. Just so then when people come over, they can entertain, which I mean is fine, but it's just crazy to think that people do that and they don't play other games.
it's the same people who would buy, a PS5 or Xbox and they just play COD.
Yeah,
But, I don't get that. Like,
yeah,
this the whole reason you bought this thing, I mean, there's so much more that can be taken advantage of and utilized with it. Um, but to just relegate yourself to playing Madden 25,
yeah,
you know, it makes no sense to me,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Buying that game, period, makes no sense to me, but that's, like, besides the point.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that whole showcase, when I see that $80 price tag, I cringe. I worry for, like, the future of these games. I
mhm,
think it's gonna be a real problem. Um, but, I mean, man, I don't know. It's gonna make it even harder for you and me to be choosing what games to play because I already don't wanna be, paying full price for these games. But if everything now starts becoming 80, $90,
mhm.
how many months and years am I gonna have to wait for a sale to come down where the game is actually at a price that I think it's deserving of?
Yeah, I mean, we're just always gonna be behind on what games we're gonna be able to play. I mean, like, I got a backlog of games that I mean, some of these games are like years old at this point,
Right.
but I mean, I don't really care. Like, I'll catch up at some point, but um like the people that get to play games and do like walkthroughs every year, obviously they're gonna have to buy that game every single year, like no matter what the newest uh, game. But for them, it's like they have to do that. I guess we don't need to, but I just can't imagine nowadays like buying. If I bought every game that I wanted right now at full price, it would be absurd. It'd be like thousands of dollars.
Right. Right. And they're not even worth that.
Yeah, no.
You know, that's the problem. But I mean, I see all these games that come out and they're going to be charging that price, and then you play them and you're disappointed with them. And for us, it's not our job to be playing those, I'm pissed. You
Mhm.
know, I put all, spend 70, 80, $100, whatever it's going to be. And then the game is just average. At least if you're someone who's like a rad Brad who just does, single player walkthroughs, it's your job. You're making that money multiple times over. It's no big
Mhm.
deal. But even still, if I were him, I'd be pissed because now you just go and upload all this stuff on a game and the game sucks. It's like, dude, I just wasted my time playing this
Yeah, yeah.
game, you know?
My my a fear of mine when gaming is like, oh, I go and buy a game for whatever the 70, $80, and then I'm playing it in the first hour or two. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not interested in this at all. And then you can't do anything about it. Like you're just out that full price,
So
which is what
that
happened with World War II
and
ish.
right.
Like I played enough of it, but
And
yeah.
that happened to me with Hogwarts Legacy.
Mhm.
Like I bought that game. I think I paid 20, like maybe $20 or something like
Yeah.
that.
But you didn't
Um,
pay full price.
no, no, I
Yeah.
didn't. Thank
Exactly.
God.
Yeah.
Thank God, though. But even still, that pisses me off because I spent money on this. I'm like, dude, that could have
Yeah,
been
yeah.
that could have been Uber Eats right there, bro.
Yeah.
That could have been a
Yeah.
little bit of gas in the tank. But instead, I spent it on this game, and I play it for an hour, and I think it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's people who like they absolutely love that game, but dude, I could not get into it. Um,
Mhm.
I was really trying. I played it for I think about 2.5, 3 hours,
Mhm.
and I never felt any sense of giving a damn about any of these characters or
Yeah.
like, yeah, it just was not. I love all the movies and like, I've read the books, a couple of them. Um, but I thought that would carry me through, and it's a bad like the voice acting in it is so
Mhm.
bad to me. It doesn't seem genuine at all. I don't care about anybody in the story, you
Mhm.
know. But I'm coming from the realm of the Nathan Drakes and the Joels, like these people who I listen to them talk and I'm into the game. I care
Yeah,
about
yeah.
them. These guys are just these cookie cutter NPCs
Mhm.
that I get people paid $70 for this game. I feel bad for them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that game died down so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I plan on buying that game still at some point just to try it out, but I remember when that game came out, everybody was hyped about it, everybody was playing it, and then it died off in, like, 2 weeks or so.
Right.
There's so many plans for it, and then it just fell off.
And there's I'm sure a lot of people who probably never finished that game. They went and,
Yeah.
bought it and had fun with the open world for a little bit, but never really, finished it. The story itself just didn't seem interesting in the slightest to me.
Mhm.
Um, but there's plenty of people, and it surprises me. There's plenty of people who play these open world games and don't play it for the story.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by the amount of people who play Grand Theft Auto, for example, and they've never beaten the story.
Yeah.
I
Like, they just play
that to me is
multiplayer.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just go and download, like cheats or do whatever, or just driving around and doing random things, but they don't play the story. To me, I'm like, why'd you buy the game, bro?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah. It's all the new people, I swear.
Yeah.
We're old.
Yeah,
We play
I
for the
know.
story. People just play from multiplayer now. Like, if you can't play with your friends, then, mm, there's no point in the game.
Right, right. They just don't see any use to the game if you're gonna be in there. Those are the same people who probably can't stand, Uncharted or The Last of Us because
Yeah.
the game is really pushing them to play a story, and
Mhm.
they hate that.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, like, those people don't play those games in general. Like, they probably wouldn't even buy it. Like, again, it's the same people that just buy Madden and, like, 2K, and, like, they buy the console and those games just to entertain with other people.
right, right.
Like, they don't care for, like, story games or whatever, which is, like, crazy to me. I know people like that, and I don't then why do you game? Like
Right.
in my like, what's the point of buying a console then
Right.
or whatever?
Yeah, and it's the same people, like, there's plenty of them, I'm sure, who are, like, in the CDL, for example. Those guys, probably only play COD. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
a lot of them, or they just if they wanna go and switch it up, they'll go play Warzone or
Mhm.
go play, Valorant, which
Yeah.
to me, that existence is horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like,
And
"Bro, is this actually fun for you?" Like,
yeah.
I love COD too, but man, I couldn't play it all day, every day, you know?
Yeah, especially when it's not your job. If it's your
Right.
job, it's different. But
Yeah, yeah.
speaking of COD, that's like I have a friend that, like, he only plays, like, Warzone really,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Damn, you bought, a console just to play Warzone and you're shit." Like, no offense to like, I've said that to him, like, and I've played multiplayer with him, like, "Dude, you are ass. No offense." Like, how do you go on every day and you just play? There's only this game. I mean, touche to him. He loves the game. Like, he enjoys COD, but I'm like, "Man, you enjoy going, like, 8 and 13
Yeah,
every
bro.
game? That sucks."
How long's he been
You
playing it
got
for?
a while.
Yeah, bro.
He just
This
sucks.
there's gotta be a point where you maybe call it quits, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I loved his lobbies. Like, I haven't, like, touched COD in a minute, and when I jump into his lobbies, it's like, wow.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's
It
probably insane. It's
yeah.
like immediate
Eh
takeover.
yeah, it doesn't matter that I could stop playing COD for a goddamn, like, year, 2 years, and then I load into, like, people with lobbies like that, and it's just insane.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's nuts. I've taken, like since we've been doing this, I've maybe taken, I don't know, maybe like a week off or so, or like 2 weeks, I think at the most I hadn't played COD,
Mhm.
and I don't know what it is, if there's some sort of, you know, initial skill-based matchmaking that they give you, because I noticed that when I come back off those breaks of not playing, the first match that I play is they're trash. Like, they're
Yeah.
not, they're not complete bots like that, but they're pretty bad. I always fry the first game, and then it's
Mhm.
the second game where they're like, "Okay, now we've got some data to actually put them into a lobby. Let's
Yeah.
go and cook them." And then I
Yeah.
see all the people who are master prestige,
Mhm.
and then I have to actually really try, and then I get humbled really quickly.
The skill base is like, "Oh, he's back.
Mhm.
He's back. Alright, let's put him back, like, where he actually belongs."
Well, and there's those times too, and I know you're gonna have it, like, when I take those breaks and I come back, I'm like, "Man, am I still, like, good? Like, am I still able to
Yeah.
shoot?" And then I start, like, lasering people, and I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
yeah, we're still there,"
Yeah.
you know? But I think a lot of it is due to just watching COD still, you
Yeah, no,
know?
it definitely is. The COD is one of those things where, like, if I'm confident in anything, it's COD, regardless. Like, I won't unless you're, like, an amateur or, like, you're a pro that if I see your POV, like, yeah, you can probably fry me, but my confidence is through the roof. I don't care. Like, I am much better than the average COD player.
Right, and I'm always
Yeah.
skeptical about people who say that they're really good too.
Yeah. And it's just based on playing a lot and, like, and watching CDL too. Like,
Yeah.
really, when we'll talk about the games, but when you watch CDL and you go and play the game afterwards, it's an instant buff, like, immediately.
Yeah, and you're also kind of playing the game through them,
Mhm,
In a weird way, when I watch them play, I'm imagining myself in those situations, or like always kind of taking mental notes as to what they're doing and how to actually play it.
mhm,
I think that keeps you fresh. It would probably be a different story if I just completely stopped. I didn't watch any COD, I didn't talk about it, I didn't
mhm.
play it, of course. Um, I feel that process would be way slower, but still watching it and, like, being involved in it, all the time, that definitely keeps us, like, in it,
Yeah,
So when we go back, we're still good.
yeah, yeah, and, like, speaking of being good, freaking we got to see Kenny play on ROKKR, and that dude is frying again.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by that, to be honest. I
Mhm,
think I was thinking that he was gonna be struggling a bit more, um, but the thing that I hated about all of it is the people who go on there and they're like, "Oh yeah, Kenny was the problem, bro.
No,
Look at
yeah,
him now,
yeah,
like he's piecing, you know?"
yeah,
And it's like, "Look, bro, it was that whole system. The
yeah.
whole optic system
It
was
was
just
that.
horrendous."
Yeah, that team just did not mesh in this game.
Well,
That's all.
did you see that, I think it came out, today, I believe it was, JP, the coach for Optic. Did you see what he said about that whole situation?
No.
He said that his biggest regret, regarding that team was not trying to have them play more fundamental like Kenny.
Mhm. I mean,
And I'm like,
yeah.
"There you
Mm,
go," you
well,
know? But we know that about him too,
mhm,
slashers like that. They have
yeah,
their way of playing
mhm,
COD, and I mean, they must have adapted that back in, MW3. I mean, they won the world championship. They had to have played that way,
mhm,
but it clearly slipped or they wanted to play a different way this time,
mhm,
and it just did not work out for him. So now he's
mhm.
around a bunch of young guys, and I'm sure he's telling them how to play the game,
Yeah,
and now they're loving it, and they look
yeah,
really good with him.
yeah. I mean, Optic could feel like right now, Optic, there is one way to play, and it's however Shotzi and Hook wanna play. Actually, it's however Shotzi wants to play, which
Right.
is being cracked, and, I mean, dude, it works. I'm sure in MW3 they played structured, but they played a lot looser, but they're able to get away with it because Shotzi's him.
Right, right.
And in
Ye
this game, it obviously didn't work because like these guys just it just didn't mesh together on this game.
yeah, and we had a big first matchup against them. I think that was the first match of the day too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
On Friday, I was watching them
Boston
play.
should have won, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was, let me go see what the schedule was exactly because I think on that Friday, it was, yeah, Vancouver and Vegas, which we'll talk about Vegas, and then it was the Optic and ROKKR match afterwards, and
yeah,
they won that by 1 round of search. That was it, Optic did.
yeah,
Um, which I don't know. I think part of me, I expected that to happen. I expected Optic to win.
mhm,
And I don't know what it says about both teams because they're in strange spots right now. ROKKR did get a win after that, and then or was it we with Optic? They ended up getting what was it? They 3-0'd Cloud9, I think.
yeah. They 3-0
Um,
Cloud9 after.
so yeah, so I don't know if that says that Optic just had a bad match against ROKKR, or it says that ROKKR's that good. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I just think Rockers always been that team this year where they go, or game 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with Paul. So I think Rocker got better with Kenny. I mean, first game against Optic and you go game 5 with them, like that's pretty good for both teams, would say so.
Yeah, you can't really complain. And obviously for Optic too, like them being on the board now, and again with the Cloud9 victory, like they're starting off 2-0, which is pretty much it's the exact opposite of how they were
Mhm.
before. Like they actually look like a good team now. Um, yeah, it's definitely a win for them. And ROKKR now getting their 1-1, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those teams like they ended up making the changes and it's definitely paid off for them. Kenny looks so much happier and just
Yeah.
looks to be in a better environment overall. I think that optic thing was just absolutely killing him having to deal with that day in and day out and trying to
Mhm.
figure it out. Now he's just starting fresh.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, those guys are it's just a new environment for him because I in his interview after, he was like, "I've never played with these guys or talked to them," which is
Right.
so funny, and now like, I mean, they won, game 5 against Boston, and they looked good,
We should have won.
and yeah, we should have. We not choked. We choked.
Yeah,
We
I
did
know, bro.
choke.
It's in our DNA to choke those sometimes.
I know. Yeah, they Boston should have won.
But yeah, they've definitely rallied around Kenny, I'm sure, as the team leader there. There was some photo that I saw and it was great. It was him, I think, calling during S&D, and you just see like all the player cams and they're all looking at him, you
Mhm.
know? I love that because
Yeah,
I'm sure he's just come in there and they all know he's the shit. He's got all
yeah.
the experience in the world. Um, and they all want to win, so they're just gonna listen to everything that he says and take it,
Mhm.
as gold.
Yeah.
Um, which I'm sure for him is just great because he knows how he wants to play the game and he knows it works. So he's going to
Mhm.
try to mold these people into playing the way that he wants
Mhm.
to enable him. And it seems like they did that because he didn't have any games where he was getting smoked. Every
No.
game that he
Yeah.
played, he looked really good and they were playing around him.
Yeah, I
even
mean,
into the OpTic loss.
he went from like point 0.6, point 0.7 to like 1.1s to 1.3s, depending on like the maps, which is insane. So,
Right.
and again, it's all based on the players around him. And people are gonna try to flip it and be like, "Oh, see, this is why he's bad with Pred. Him and Pred just don't get along." Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, no. This game, they just don't mesh well together.
Right.
That's
And
it.
it's the same with Hook and Shotzi. I mean, they both looked way better. Like Hook played great,
Mhm,
and same thing with Shotzi because they just, they enable each other on the map.
mhm.
Um, I think Hook has made that team so much better. I think they really need to just keep him in the lineup for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
That guy, one, he's obviously earned it with all the times he's gotten thrown in there, but two, he really just allows those guys to do anything that they want.
Yeah.
He makes it so much better for them.
Hook is I mean, anytime Hook has played with Shotzi, they look good together. Like they
Right.
are a duo together.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can always say, yeah, you can pack a punch, whatever. And like Pred and him fried in MW3. But again, like the play style of Pred just didn't mesh with Shotzi in this game. Whereas Hook, I guess no matter what game those guys play together, like they're always playing at a quick pace that they just know what to do.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what game, because the way that like every COD player knows as you play a new game, especially with someone else, like you know where they're gonna go, how they play, certain tendencies on every game, no matter what.
Right.
And sometimes that just doesn't translate from like player to player on each game.
Right, and it clearly didn't for them on this title. And I think Pred right now is kind of struggling with that too because, going to the Falcons, I think we had talked about that team, the rumor that it was going to be Pred, Exnid, Arcides, and Priesta on the
Mhm.
last episode, and then it was probably the next day that they went and put out the release that was going to be the team. Um, and to that point, I think Pred is kind of struggling with that right now, trying to find that person that's going to enable him and allow him to kind of play how he wants to. Um, because that team to me is so strange,
Mhm.
like and then having Exnid thrown in there too, who, by the way, dude, that guy is insane. He's
Yeah.
such a good player. Like,
Mhm.
if they don't ever stick around, which I'm sure they're going to, like, at least keep Pred. I'd be surprised if they try not to keep him there. Um, Dude, Exton is the guy to be building around. That guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was one of the best players. Like in the first match that they played against Surge, where they lost, he was far and away their best player
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I think he benefited more having these 3 players than, like, these 3 players being with him.
for sure.
I like did it just enabled him to look so much better.
Right,
But again, it's all the players around you. Like, that's why it's crazy that FaZe with those 3 guys are just consistent every single year
right,
because
right,
it's a different game. Um, as crazy as it sounds, like, you could have 4 insane players like Dashi, Shotzi, Pred, and Kenny all on one team, but they can't be consistent enough to go from game to game to game.
right.
And that's the interesting about COD, but it's also the thing that sucks about COD in my opinion, because you're not gonna have like a very long like dynasty, with the exception of FaZe. Like FaZe is just those 3 guys together are
An anomaly.
unstoppable. Yeah. So if there is a team that can match FaZe, like not looking at year, like, oh, this one year they beat FaZe, they won champs or whatever. No, it's got to be like a string of a couple years where it's just dominance.
Right, and always being at the top, and that's what that phase group has always done.
Mhm.
They've never faltered really. Even people would point to their Vanguard year where they just got second all the time. But how many of these teams have never made a grand finals,
Yeah.
on land, like, ever? Those guys were always there. Um, and to think that, like, even with Pred too, like the teams that he's been on, like he's had those struggles where he's had the up years, like with was a Surge he started with. He wasn't too bad with them. He was definitely showing out. and then they went through their struggles, and then obviously with OpTic, they win the championship, then they're dog shit.
Mhm.
Now he's on Falcons, and I mean, they're kind of shit. Like
Yeah.
they're n- they're like they're less shit than they used to be.
Mhm.
Um, but I just don't know what that team's potential is. The first match they played Vancouver, I think that was a hard match to play as your first one, especially with the lack of practice that they've had as a group. But they got smoked.
Yeah.
Um, and really, like Arcides did too. Arcides and Priesta, they got wrecked, which didn't really enable the other guys to play.
Mhm.
Um, but then it was amazing, dude. I thought about you. I was wondering if you were upset about it because then they won a hard point, bro. And
I know.
the legendary streak came to an end. Um, yeah, what was it, 25, 26 hard points or something like that in a row they lost?
It was something like that. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And then they won, yeah, they won their first one, which was unbelievable. Xnit's face was priceless.
Yeah.
This guy thought that
Yeah.
he just won COD champs. It was
Yeah.
it was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, you're bound to win you're bound to win a hard point with any other team. So,
Right, right,
like, yeah. I mean, I wanted to see them win a hard point with that regular team, like whatever iteration it was, and also see them win a series with that regular iteration, but obviously it wasn't their best interest. Um, so they got, you know, 3 players that are much better, and you can see what happens. But I don't know. I think with that team, I mean, they're gonna get better. Um, but are they gonna climb up the ranks? I think they're too far gone at this point. And unless they go to the major and somehow they're just like Lanimals and they just make a run and place like top 5, top 6, and
right.
they get all these points. But, I mean, only time will tell, right? Like, if you look at these guys on paper, it is a weird team on paper, but I'm not gonna like look to the side when they have Pred, Arcides, Exnid, and Priesta. You know, like these
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
have all they're all world champs minus Exnid, but like he's been frying like on this team. So
yeah, I mean that team has the potential when you look at them on paper. Um, I think it's just a weird setup because of the players themselves, you know? I
mhm.
think that's why most people probably throw them together as being a weird team. Um, but yeah, the caliber of talent is insane. I mean, Exodus must be mind blown that he's playing with those
Oh
guys
yeah,
when he looks left to right and it's just all world champions that he's probably been watching for years,
yeah,
and now he's on a team with them. Um, yeah, it's crazy. But when they won that hard point, you could see that they were all laughing, just being like, "Yeah, bro, this is what it's like. Like,
yeah, yeah,
this is how
yeah.
we this is how you actually play hardpoint,
Hmm.
okay?" And they ended up winning 2 of them. I think they won the first one,
Hmm.
and then they won the map 4 to go to
Yeah.
the search and destroy. That's the thing that worries me about that team, though, is because before, if I'm not mistaken, they were a really good search team. That was kind of
Hmm.
their thing. They would win. Um, but they didn't win any searches. They threw that map 2 that they had. They should have won it.
Yeah.
I think they lost it. I don't know, it was round 11. I think it was round 11 on, dealership.
Hmm.
Um, and then the other one, they totally fell apart on the Hacienda search.
Yeah. I mean, I think a search is a lot of like it is team based, but so much chemistry is involved in it.
Yeah,
Where I mean, those 4 guys beforehand, I mean, they were the best players from their region. So obviously they're playing search together all the time. Like that's all they play. They don't play respawn clearly because they
right.
got cooked. And you can throw any pro in respawn from America, and all you got to do run at the fucking hill. Just run at the hill. Hold spawns a couple times. You're good. And
Right.
it could be depending on the skill level. It could be like a 50-50 if you're gonna win or not. But run at the hill and just fry. And S&D, there's obviously different strats, like actual strategy. And in not saying that hardpoint there is no strategy, but there's more things you can get away with in hardpoint in respawn than with S&D, obviously. You can like make up from a mistake you did in a respawn, where in
Yeah.
S&D, yeah, like it's very hard to recover from a mistake you made.
Yeah, and I would assume too, based on their reps and the lack of time that they had to practice together, like that is no surprise that their
Yeah.
S&D was definitely the weakest.
Hmm.
All those guys are pretty much plug and play when it comes to hard point because that's what they're doing all the time in those
Yeah.
eights they're playing. Um, but yeah, I mean they like on Falcons they look way better than they did, which is not really saying much. But I think that team has the potential. They'll for sure get some series wins. But do they go and make it to champs? I don't think they will. I don't even know at this point if it's mathematically possible for them. I'm assuming
It's
it
still
is,
possible. Yeah.
but some crazy shit has to happen for them in order to make it to champs.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, they have to make a run at this major,
yeah,
and the last major too. So, which I mean, I can see them beating LAG. I can see them competing with Miami. I can see them competing with Boston, Cloud9 too. So like these teams aren't like bottom of the barrel teams, you know. Like I, I mean, even at this rate, I can see them competing with OpTic or even ROKKR. You know, like
yeah,
these aren't clear top 3, 4 teams right now. So if it depends how fast they can you know, get together and like figure out their S&D and their respawn because clearly all the other teams are going to be dealing with it too. I mean,
right,
Dashy was saying that it's so hard to form chemistry on a team and like feel comfortable on the map when you just have a revolving door of players, and that's how he's felt the past couple months. And it's true. I mean, now he's going to have a consistent 3 other teammates, and they're just going to ride with this team through the rest of the year. Inevitably, you will get better. Like you should get better at least because you're gonna learn about the 3 other players and like what they do, you know, like on a day to day every time you're practicing, you know. But you and I've dealt with it. Like when we're playing with 2 other random people and we're playing respawn, like it works because
right.
we have an idea of what we need to do. Hit the hill and rotate and just win
Right.
your gunfights. And then when we're playing S&D, like if we're solo queuing, you got 3 other people, like, none of you are on the same page, like, no one's thinking the same. It's so hard.
Yeah, when I've been playing ranked on occasion by myself, that's the worst part of it because I can't a lot of times for some reason people don't even have mics on, which is just a problem in of itself.
Mhm.
But yeah, I have no idea how these guys are gonna play it.
Yeah.
There's some of those situations I load into and then I'm taking a sigh of relief. I'm like, thank God these people are actually rotating, like we're blocking
Mhm.
stuff, we're doing the right moves. But there's times I go in there and I just know the way we're playing. I'm like, we're gonna lose this. There's no way, you
Yeah.
know.
You can tell by just the map. Like, especially when you're playing S&D, like, 2 people are super, super slow,
Right.
and then 2 people are trying to hit something extremely fast. Um oh, my camera went out.
Devastating, bro.
I don't know why. I'm gonna keep talking, but,
Yeah, screw it. Why not?
yeah, like, I don't know how you can, like, deal with that as
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
consistent basis.
No, it is really hard, especially, there's a lot of people who do go in solo queue into ranked.
Mhm,
And man, for those people who do it, God bless them because you either have to be one just gritting through it and
mhm,
trying to be the guy to do it all, or hopefully you're at a rank enough or just got people around you that are relatively competent and understand how to play the game.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, with search and destroy, it's such a different deal. There's way more regarding like, plays and pacing and being able to, I don't know, just pick up on really small stuff that's going to happen really quick. And
mhm.
I think that's the problem that Vegas is having right now because they've got, guys who are individually are all probably really good at search and destroy, but just they don't play or think about it the
Exactly.
same way,
Yeah,
and that's what
yeah,
they've got to kind of iron out.
yeah. It's like you have one way or a certain way that you like to play, but you might have to adjust a little bit to the teammates you have
Right.
because it's just I mean, they've all dealt with this, like, it's plug and play, you know? I wouldn't say that those 4 guys, it was their choice to team together. You
No,
know what I mean?
definitely
Like,
not.
all 4 of us didn't agree. I feel like the CDL now, it's very much, "Alright, we signed Pred, Exnet's gonna be here no matter what. you guys are going to be a duo, and then they go pick like players one by one, especially now in the season. I during the off season, I'm sure there are players that say like we're a duo, like we're a package no matter what, and that's fair. That's like if you and I went, like you and I would be a package, and we know we can at least work off of each other, and it's easier to do that. But that's why so many of these players that come from challengers and they're just yanked, one person's yanked and thrown into a team, and they expect it to be plug and play. It normally doesn't happen.
Right. And that's what's happened with, I want to say, what is it? The LAG team.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of the situation they're in right now. They made that two-person change, right?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, they've got Fellow on there, and then they've got Johnny, which
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know their background if they did play together
Mhm.
in challengers. They may have. I know
I'm sure
obviously
they
both.
have at some point.
Right, at some point. But
But
yeah, now that's just a team where they've got 2 new people thrown in there
Mhm.
and, to Kismet too. I mean, man, talk about, like, a struggle. That bro he's had a bad year anyway, and then he's
Mhm.
got, Lunars who's brought in, and then now, like, Linz is gone. Now he's got, like, a whole new team, and he's gotta figure out how to actually put this together and be on the same page with them.
Mhm.
Um, he may have been making some progress with the team he had before, but now it's just, you know pretty much starting from 0, but you hope that these guys are good enough that they can speed up that process and,
Mhm.
actually think as one.
Yeah. No, it's crazy how some of these players from one year they're at the top, and then the next year they're again, it's a game, and they just don't mesh together on that game. Um,
Right.
I mean, like, if you look at it, like, I think Priesta has had the worst, career, like, the last 2 years statistically.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, no
he's
doubt.
been bad, and then, like, he's not a bad player, it's just he went from winning champs with the subliners, and he had a specific role on that team, and it worked. And then he came over to Boston. That shit didn't work, obviously, at all, because the role that he had to play did not work with the other 3 players around him. Now he went to LAG. That shit didn't work either, trying to form Subliners 2.0. That didn't work. And now now he's on, Falcons with these guys. I feel for that guy. Like, it sucks, and you can see it too based on his gameplay. It's not like he's dropping point sixes, point sevens, point eights. Like, he's not consistently dropping the 1 KD that's, like, what you want.
Right. Right, that and it says a lot for, the system that you have to play into as well,
Mhm,
There are certain people like him in particular, I'm sure he's a certain type of player that when he's put in that kind of team and has a certain role, he does great at it.
mhm,
Um, I think just in the recent years, he's been in systems and in teams that he doesn't feel comfortable with, and that's, hurt his gameplay. Obviously, it's not a question if you can shoot. I mean, you saw him in that Miami game,
mhm,
he called game on like a 4-piece on the whole team. The guy still has it, but that's where it begs the question, does he keep looking for a team and hoping that a team is going to be put together where he can slot in really nicely? Or is he going to just get passed by one of the younger people that comes up and is just some player that can play well or hold their own in any situation. I think
mhm,
Priesta is a very specialized player,
mhm.
regarding his role and who he needs to be with for him to be activated, you know.
Yeah,
And because we haven't seen that in the past few years, everyone thinks he's trash and that he needs to retire. But
mhm.
that's going to be his call if he's going to want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't remember Priesta back on FaZe. What he was that cracked kid, and I mean, he still is. It's just it's the game and the players around him. And
Y-
you can say that about every player. And it's a fact. The only players you can't say that about are Simp, Avizi, and Cell. That's it. Because they've been together for so damn long that those are the only players you can say it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and they're players too that have just, they've had their times where they maybe don't play up to their standard, but then they turn it around and they're always picking it up.
Mhm.
None of those 3 have had a particularly bad year where
Yeah.
they played poorly the entire time. That can't be said for a lot of other players that have just continuously struggled,
Mhm.
and they're taking up spots, but Yeah, that Falcons team, it's a weird one. Again, I think they are gonna get better, but I'm really happy for the guys in the sense that they're collecting a bag, bro. They are
Yeah.
getting paid. So if Priesta does call it, at least he's going out on the supermax and
Yeah. I mean,
he gets to enjoy it a bit.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, is this team going to stick around for the rest of the year or, you know, into next year? Absolutely not. I don't think this is going to be the team. I think if anything, they should build around Exnid. I think he's a really, really good player. And I saw
Mhm.
some statement that they put out trying to clarify their situation and the lack of Saudi representation on the team,
Yeah.
minus Exnid. Um, that's definitely the guy. Like he's insanely good.
Yeah.
And him and Pred as a duo is kind of sick. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's a lock. Pred, I'm sure, is a lock. I
Yeah.
think our Arcides and Priesta are more, I'm sure they got like an option on the contract that they signed. They're like, look, we need you. Uh prove your worth, I guess, to the organization and the rest of the team, and then they'll figure it out
Right.
going into the off season, right? Like I think I mean Pred made a very smart business decision going over to the Falcons because I'm sure he got the super max 100%.
Yeah.
Um,
No doubt.
right, I mean, rightfully so. Like he is a world champ and like his potential, but that's what Falcons are thinking, I'm sure. Like, if this year doesn't work out, because right now it's not working out, at least next year we have Pred and then Exnid, and
Right.
then Arcees and Priesta, if they're frying this year, like, who knows? Maybe they do keep like one or both of them going into next year. Um, if not, then they'll have options for two.
Yeah, I would assume that money is not an issue with this team.
Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely not.
And that's why they picked up those players because on paper they're really successful players and are really,
Mhm.
really good. I saw a lot of people saying they could have gone with other amateurs, etc. I think that team doesn't even want to take a risk on that. They
Yeah.
just want to have people that are statistically insane players.
Mhm.
And again, to that point, if picking up Alec, I mean, he's two-time world champ, Priest is world champ. If these guys don't perform, then they're just gonna be like, "Yep, that's it. Okay, we tried that,
Mhm.
but we're gonna go and just stick with the 2 people that we know are gonna be good." And
Mhm.
then from there, who knows who they're gonna go. I don't think that's gonna be a team where they go for amateurs. I think they're
Yeah.
really gonna try to get, you know, a lot of people with their money. They're gonna
Yeah.
try to be like, "Hey, if you wanna come over here and play with these guys and be on the, 400, 500K a year thing, or
Mhm.
more, just let us know."
Yeah. I mean, and, Arcides and Priesta, like, they have you know, a chance to make, like, a huge contract with them. Like, if they prove their worth with them, then,
Right, right,
they're back. And picking up random challenger players. I mean, like, yeah, it's a good opportunity to find, the next person, like, up. But again, like you said, these guys, money's not an issue. They're gonna go for the best of the best if they're available.
right, right,
Like, and I think if any player, that has a chance to get into the CDL regardless of the team, like, at this point, like, you just have to take it.
right.
Like, you have to take the opportunity to get in because we don't see many new players come in, like, every single year. Like, there's a lot of players just being, like, rotated out every year. So if you have a chance, you just gotta take it, you know?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these teams, like from our last week when we talked about it, a lot of these teams are taking a chance on some of these younger players. Some of them have been in the league for only a little bit and then they get taken out. And I hope for the sake of these guys that they do stay in there. Like Johnny's one of them, Lunars
Mhm,
is one of them. Um, Same thing with Fellow. Like I think Fellow's a great player. He's been around for a long time. I hope he stays. And same thing with Lucky
mhm.
on Miami, which that team again, like
Well,
he did
super.
Super
Lucky got
no,
subbed
sorry,
out.
Super,
Yeah.
no, my bad, thank you. I think Super did sub in at one time, I don't know if it was this year, I forget, but I hope he gets a full, year or, like,
Mhm,
at least just this, like, portion of the year under his belt so he can actually prove himself.
mhm,
Because there is a lot of talent out there, but again, it's just so cutthroat that if they play bad, yeah, they go negative 1 match, and then
mhm,
their career is flashing before their eyes, like, it could be that
mhm.
serious.
Well,
Um
And that's the thing, like, people in challenge there is no structure for challengers at all, like, it sucks for all those players. That's
Yeah.
why if you have a chance to get into the league, like, you gotta take that opportunity when it's there
Right.
to even if you join, like, a shit team. Um,
Right.
people, you can argue the other side of, well, it's not good for you because if you have a bad performance, then it doesn't like, you might not be picked up again, which is
Right.
true, but you're also risking a spot of joining the league and potentially, maybe showing out. I don't think there's a coincidence why Fellow gets picked up every year. Like he does good enough every year to get picked up onto a new team. And then he performs like not like insanely well on every team, but he does good enough and well on
Right.
every team he joins, and they always improve. But at the state of the CDL, a lot of these teams are trying to find that superstar player. And I mean, look at like Real. They brought this kid up, and he's clearly the best player on that team on Miami. And he just fries. And not the other players aren't bad around him, but you can clearly tell he is the best player. And if you throw him onto that team, he's gonna cook.
Right.
And then same with Joe. Joe deceives. Like he came into the league. A lot of people, weren't a fan of him. Like he just played with a Beezy, and like was one of those players that kind of skipped the whole challengers scene because he had connections and people like wrote him off. And then he joined he was on LAG, not the best team at all, but he still showed out on that team a lot. And now he's on Ultra, and people are still looking at him, is he going to show up or not? And like he is showing up with everyone else on that team.
And he
So
had his time too, last year on Thieves, where he
yeah.
had those moments where it was like, I'd say few and far between, but he did
Mhm.
have his moments where he looked good. This year, he's definitely hit his form where
Mhm.
he is looking way better of a player, and is having a lot more consistently good games.
Mhm.
And Boston's like that too with Snoopy. I mean, they've clearly built that team around him and like want to enable him because they must feel he's the best player on that team.
Yeah.
And I would agree so too. Um, but I mean, dude, like ending on them, bro. What a weird fucking weekend for the boys, bro. Like
Yeah. They went
this,
1-1. Should have been
yeah,
2-2. 2 and
yeah,
0.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how to feel about it because we had talked a little bit on the phone, I think, about it, or on PlayStation, we were talking about it with Ultra
Mhm.
because they beat them. It was the first ever 2-0. They beat them, shit
Mhm.
on them, and then they quit.
Yeah.
But it was because of some connection issue, which I totally get. I watched the flank on it when they talked about it, and to
Mhm.
me, it seems completely valid that they would
Yeah.
end that game. Like
Yeah.
there were some people who were up in arms about it, and of course, you feel for the people
Mhm.
like who are watch partying it, or for us who are sitting there waiting.
Mhm.
Um, they just wasted a bunch of time, but they were lagging beyond belief. And I think it was the CDL was just telling them to kind of play through it.
Yeah.
And they weren't having it. So they took a
Mhm.
stand and forfeited. But, beating Ultra was going to be a tough task for us anyway. So then we end up getting the win on them. I think we got blessed.
Mhm.
Um, but they say that they were dealing with those issues the day before too, and they played through it anyway. Wasn't it
Yeah,
them?
they beat FaZe.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
that's where to me, I don't really like, it is a little bit of a gray area. I'm
Mhm.
assuming it got worse when they played with Boston,
Mhm.
um, and we just lucked out and, we got the 2 maps on them, and then they just said,
Mhm.
"Screw it." But, yeah, because then we went the next match that we played, we ended up losing to ROKKR. We lost,
Mhm.
like, super close, map well, kind of a
Game
close
5.
one. Yeah. I don't it wasn't a no, was it around 11? It was around 11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, on the new map on
Dealership.
Dealership.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, classic us, we're just, like, at the finish line. We
Yeah.
should have been 2-0 on this.
Mhm.
So, I don't know how to feel about the boys.
Mhm.
Strange loss to Ultra, looks good on paper, but I don't
Mhm.
think it tells the whole story,
Yeah.
and
I
then the
mean,
ROKKR loss.
well, they won against Ultra. They did not lose against Ultra.
No, no, my bad. Like, the win against Ultra being kind of a weird one, and
Yeah.
then again
That's
with
a win.
Rock,
I
win's a
they
win.
yeah, I mean, like, if you look at it, I guess, like, morally, it looks weird, but it's like they beat FaZe yesterday. Like you specifically you've had connection issues, and then the next day you're perfectly fine, and
Right.
then the next day it's shit again. They just happened to have shit connection and it didn't work that day, or they couldn't like rejoin again and not lag that bad, right? And Boston, to be fair, like just fried. Like they cooked their shit the first two maps. Like it wasn't even close.
Yeah,
Um,
but do
and
we know
then
how much the connection was affecting them during those maps?
I mean they played through it,
Yeah,
but
that's
I don't think based on how Joe was saying it through the map, like it's not like that wasn't the main reason why they lost. You know,
right.
like a win's a win, in my opinion. Can't throw shade at the boys for just winning and like cooking them, you know?
Right.
And all if you're a competitor, you're not making an excuse about lagging. Like all those guys at some point have played through lag, you know? You can complain and bullshit about it, but like at the end of the day, like you just gotta play. But for this specific case, Ultra just took a stance of like, look, we can't they legitimately can't play that final map
Yeah.
and called it, which is like I get that. But if you're a competitor, you're not gonna forfeit. Like, why the fuck would you ever forfeit if you can actually go and play the game, you know? So
Right. Yeah, and I guess, again, from the league side, like, they really were just telling them to play through it, and
mhm,
I obviously that pissed them off so much because they brought those issues up to them before saying that this needs to be fixed and it hasn't
mhm,
been fixed. Um, so I could get it from that aspect. It's just it's so I guess my point is that it's so fucking hard to predict this stuff because I have no idea how to feel about Boston in the
mhm,
sense that like yeah, I agree a win's a win. They got it against Ultra. They for sure cooked them the first couple of maps. Like if it was that big of a problem after
mhm,
the first map, then they shouldn't have even played the second one you know?
mhm,
Um, but they went and did it anyway. So yeah, they looked really good against Ultra. And then which we know is one of the best teams right now. I mean, they're easily, I would say probably third or fourth, I think
mhm.
most people put them probably behind Vancouver. And then we go and play ROKKR. And then we play that search. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
that should be like an easy win,
Mhm.
Or maybe is ROKKR just that team?
Well,
I
again, it's right. Rocker's a new team though. Honeymoon, like
I know
they
it's
went round 11 against Optic, and like, you can't, like, prep for that, obviously, especially if they haven't scrimmed or anything before. Um, I think it's a good thing that Boston is staying this consistent against all these new teams. That
yeah,
shows, like, how, good they actually are.
and
Whether or
playing them
not
close.
whether or not, like, they're closing games or not, um, if you're staying consistently close with every team, especially after all these roster changes, you're probably sitting in a comfortable spot. You just got to clean up a couple things and then close out the actual maps. Whereas you mentioned before C9, these fucking guys didn't make a change and they're not playing anyone close.
Yeah,
So
dude.
it's like that's why I think Boston it can go either way. Like they could just completely fall off and flop, but at least throughout the season, they've shown that they can compete. Like
Right.
regardless of every like a roster, And they should have beat Surge in Major 2. They fucking tossed it. They should have made top 3 and they
Right.
tossed it. So, I think realistically, I think the only 2 teams they can't touch right now are FaZe and Thieves. And you can say that about probably every other team, maybe besides like Surge, you know? Like I really think Boston can hang against every other team besides those 2.
Yeah, I'd have to see them play Surge again,
Yeah.
to see, like, this version of them. Because yeah, of course, those teams are just in another realm, but I will say, though, with Boston, the one thing I am happy about with that team is they do seem to be one of the teams that, like, obviously didn't make a change, is doing the best.
Yeah.
Because to that point, like, Cloud9 is dog shit, and dude, Carolina has fallen off, bro. They are
Mhm.
on the struggle bus right now. Like, that team when they played, was it Thieves the last match they played?
Mhm.
Brother, that was insane. Like, I mean, Thieves absolutely smoked them. I think the only team that they beat over the weekend was the Gorillas,
Yeah.
which again, new
And
team. Like, yeah, it's whatever. Like Carolina's
mhm,
good enough to beat them.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was a weird, it was a really weird situation for Boston. Again, I'm trying to be more optimistic about it. That definitely is the way to be about it because they
Mhm,
did beat Ultra. Again, a win is a win, and they looked good against them. But yeah, after all these roster changes that have happened, it's really shaken up like the fight for the midfield.
mhm,
Um, I really don't know how to predict a lot of these matches anymore, which is good. Other than
yeah.
anything barring Phase, Thieves, and I might even throw Surge in there.
Mhm,
But I still want to see a little bit more from them. I
mhm.
think it's very, very difficult to predict where these teams are going to be performing in like a week or two, or especially when they go to the major. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, a lot this major is really important for a lot of the mid-pack teams, like,
Yeah,
very, very important.
yeah,
Whatever, like, 2 teams make it the furthest into that major, it's gonna help them out a lot going into the last split before champs. Like,
yeah.
it's do or die for a lot of these teams, and then if you don't make a run, then the last split for you in Major 4 is gonna be everything.
Right. And the pressure is going to be insane. And how many
Yeah,
of those teams can really live up and handle it? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
You need
like
someone like Kenny to lead you through shit like that.
yeah. I mean, like, ROKKR, they have a chance to finish top 8. Like,
Yeah.
they definitely can, but, like, they're behind OpTic, they're behind Boston, and I think they're behind Miami, and but they're all within, like, 10 points of each other.
Right. Right.
There's everyone's so close in this. The only teams that are, like, a lock are FaZe and Thieves, and then I guess you could say, like, Ultra and
Ultra
Seattle
Surge.
too.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah, Surge.
I'm curious where Carolina falls into all that. But um, yeah,
I think they've lost like, they did have a decent lead, but I think they've lost a little too much.
well, after that major 2, they definitely did. Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
place anywhere near where they did in major 1. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of teams that are catching up. So the fight's going to be really really exciting. I mean, these matches that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of weeks are going to be really important. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that we can get a clearer vision of where some of these teams actually lie. Because right now, after that first week, I have no idea what to expect, other than like, you know, Vegas right now is still bad, but bro, they could
Mhm.
come back. They get the S&D reps. They could be like, right up there with the rest of them.
Mhm.
And if they did that, I would love that because then they just
Yeah.
play spoiler,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, if I mean, it's week 1, right? So, obviously, like, we're not gonna know. Like,
Yeah.
it's still the honeymoon s stage for, like, a lot of these teams, but, Vegas has the potential to if they can win a couple series here and there, and then these guys, or at least Arcades, Priest, and Pred, they're all gross on land. If they make a run at land, like, on land,
Oh, bro, it'd be so sick.
it'd be great for them, you know?
Yeah, and it would be great for Xnid too. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see them on land when Xnid's on stage with them. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so sick.
Yeah.
And that dude, by the way, just gained so many fans just being so genuine.
Oh, yeah.
I loved seeing it.
Mhm.
It was definitely an awesome moment. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I think that's kind of like it for what I wanted to talk about because that was the big thing talking about all these teams and how they've performed.
Mhm.
Um, it's gonna be a really interesting next couple of weeks to see where they all shape up to. Again, OpTic obviously looks better. Kenny seems to have finally, hit his form and is looking a little bit better. Boston guys should be 2-0, but
Mhm.
what can we do?
I'll take the 1 and 1.
Yeah, I'll take it. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's really exciting. I think this is honestly one of the better years that we've had in quite a long time, especially for the mid fight. I
Mhm.
don't really give a damn right now about Phase and Thieves. I just know that they're going to be, always in the question for Sunday grand
Yeah.
finals. But one of these teams could just sneak through and pull it through. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's what teams are gonna make that push to top 3 and
Right?
go up against those guys? I mean, I don't think anyone's expected Surge to, like, be up there, like, 2 majors in a row.
Yeah,
So, like or 1 major and the minor.
yeah.
So, yeah.
We
It'll be
shall
good.
see.
It'll
We
be
shall
good.
see. I tell you too, bro. Before we go, I went and played firing range a little bit.
Mhm.
It don't hit the same.
Yeah.
It don't hit the same, bro. Nah, man, it's okay. It's like I played that, and then there was another map that they have. I maybe I'm bugging. I want to say it's called Barrage.
Mhm.
Think that's the name of it. I should know, but it's like it's all like trenches and shit, you know? It's like
Yeah.
all yeah, it's some like weird like excavation site or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, that map was really good. Playing firing range, dude, I don't know. I've said it before, I'll say it again, man. I those maps, I'm over them, you know?
Mhm.
I don't want to play firing range again. I don't want to play raid express. Like, granted, they'd be good for the CDL, but dude, when I
Mhm.
load into playing firing range, um, it's like it wears off in about 2 games.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's in every game.
yeah, I
Every game.
know.
Yeah.
It's just that gimmick map that people wanna go and play, and people get all
Mhm.
excited about it, you know? And I was excited for about, 2 minutes of the first game. I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I know how to play this." There's nothing new, there's nothing really crazy about it. Um, so that's my season 3 update right there, bro.
Yeah. My season 3 update, I haven't touched it. So,
We'll get there. We'll get there
yeah,
eventually.
we'll
We
get
get
there.
Split Fiction to play first. That's what we're gonna do.
The, Octane, he said that, MW3 is more fun than this game, and I was like, "That's a crazy take." Uh, but again, like, I just think a lot of people hate this fucking game because of like, there's just been so much negativity, like, on this game particularly. I feel like more than MW3, which is kinda crazy to me. Um, I like the maps aren't great, but MW3 maps are the same fucking maps we played 10 years ago.
Yeah,
It's so weird to me.
it is weird to me too. I don't agree with that. I think this game is way more fun to play.
Yeah,
Um,
I yeah,
I
I
think the
don't agree with
movement
it
and
at all.
everything in MW3 I hated
Mhm,
compared to this game. I think this game plays so much better. It's more
mhm,
fun to watch.
mhm.
Granted the maps like yeah, they're worse, I suppose, but to your point, yeah, we already played all those maps in MW3.
Yeah.
You know,
Someone I think it was Octane, he was like, "Bring back high rise." I'm like, "High rise, dude, no."
oh,
Remember the
dude.
tanks ever remember the freaking gas tanks? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
exploding.
want that again. I don't know, COD players, we're all just so biased to whatever, current year we're playing, and I feel like we just forget about everything. I'm like, would I rather go play MW3 over this? No. Would I rather play, like, this over Vanguard? Yeah, like, I don't wanna go back and play Vanguard, fuck that.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, well, I mean, we obviously look through things with, rose tinted glasses, you know?
mhm,
It's like we don't know how good something is until it's gone, and then, by that point, people are
mhm.
like, "Oh, man, last year wasn't that bad, brother. What are you talking
Dude,
about?
we've
Last
been
year
saying
sucked,
that
dude."
every year since Cold War. Like, I think Cold War was the last game where everybody in competitive at least felt like this game was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Every year, like, after that, everyone complained about the game, whatever
Yeah,
year it was.
definitely, but then, like, that when we went to Vanguard, though, yeah, nobody went back to that game. Like,
Yeah.
every year, people have gone back to the other CODs, like, I'm sure there's people now or, like, maybe later on this season, they're gonna go back and play MW3
Mhm.
and be enjoying it. Dude, there ain't nobody going back to Vanguard. Like,
Yeah.
even when what was the game after Vanguard? Was it MW2?
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, when MW2 was out and people weren't feeling it anymore, everyone went back to Cold War. Everyone
Yeah,
skipped
yeah,
over
yeah,
Vanguard. They're like, "Nah, fuck that. That game's
yeah.
terrible," you know?
Mhm.
So if I see people and I'll leave it at that, bro. If there's people out there who think MW3 is better than Cold War or than Black Ops 6, please do let me know why.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, but I'd be curious to hear why people think that. Um, yeah, I mean, come on, dude. Like, uh, fucking all the maps from MW. We're talking MW2 maps on MW3. We didn't
Yeah.
even get
Yeah.
any MW3 maps.
Yeah.
You know,
We it's just so weird every year. Like, we're
if
looking at this COD and people are like, "This game sucks," and last year was better. I'm like, "You were just complaining about the game last year."
now I will say this though, like ending for me on that whole thought. If MW3 had all new maps, I may feel differently.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that it was like, from launch, it was all the OG maps from MW2.
Mhm,
That wore off so fast. I didn't care about it at all. And it
mhm,
would be the same thing with this game. If this game had all the maps from Cold War or like Black Ops 2, it would be old so quick. I wouldn't
mhm.
give a damn about it. Having fresh maps definitely does add a lot to the game.
Yeah, and they just need to add new like, I don't know how long it takes to design a map and, like, put it out there. I'm sure it probably takes, like, a decent amount of time to, like,
Right.
get everything, like, rendered, 3D rendered, and actually creating it, but, man, if you can put out, like, 10 new maps every season, only 3 have to hit in, like,
Right.
a couple of these seasons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Realistically,
That's true.
like, I think what was the last COD where we actually enjoyed the majority of the maps? Like, I would say probably, like,
I was
Black
gonna
Ops
say,
4.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say Cold War was,
Cold War was, but it only had 8 maps, but I will say,
yeah,
like, at least half of those maps were good maps we enjoyed.
yeah, yeah. No, I would say Black Ops 4 though. Like off the rip, way more maps and most of those
Yeah.
maps we enjoyed. Yeah, I would say that was probably the last title. Which I
Yeah.
mean, dude, that was a long, long time ago. That was what,
Yeah.
2016,
Yeah.
20, yeah, something like that. Was it
Yeah.
2016?
No, no, no.
No, oh
2018.
no,
2018.
2018. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna
2016
say,
was BO3.
yeah, yeah,
2015 to 2016.
yeah, 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 2018. Damn, that's crazy, bro. That was 7 years ago. What the fuck?
Yeah. But and BO3, like, all those maps were good too.
Oh, yeah, yeah, Combine, love
Yeah.
that map, Yeah,
That
those
so
were phenomenal. What happened, bro?
I don't dude, the map designers, I have no idea what happened. Like,
Where'd
they're
they
making
go?
I don't know, they're making it way too complicated. Now, like,
You're making shit.
just, put out 10 maps every season. Only, like, yeah, only 3 have to be good.
It doesn't seem that hard, but I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't
dude, yeah, we've entered the dark ages. Like, the maps that we get are just dog shit, compared to what we used to get.
I know, yeah. Like, then it's either they're dog shit or they're good. Like, there's
Yeah.
no in between,
There's no
which
incredible.
yeah,
We
yeah.
haven't gotten that in a while, but yeah, again, per Octane's take there, please let us know in the comments on YouTube if you're on the YouTube. I'll make that maybe the question for this episode. If you think that MW3 is better than Black Ops 6, I'd be very curious to know why. I think that's absolutely mental though, but
Yeah.
feel free to give me a lengthy explanation so we can read it and try to understand that logic,
Yeah,
you know.
especially if you just like, he's a pro. Maybe that, yeah,
Right.
but if
Right.
dude, if you're just playing COD, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. No, yeah, exactly. Maybe if you're a pro, it could be a different story, and
Mhm.
hopefully he's only speaking as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that does it for this episode, huh? Unless you had anything you want to add.
I think we're good.
Cool. So again, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode 217 of the COD Casuals podcast. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all streaming platforms. You can go watch us there, as well as going to the Instagram and TikTok and go watch the shorts there. Be sure to follow us there, as well as going to Twitter or X, giving us a follow at the COD Casuals and joining the community since we're posting there all the time. We're talking about the matches always in there. So if you have some shit you want to say,
Mhm.
just go over there and leave your comment or reply to us. We greatly appreciate it. Go to the YouTube, comment, like, subscribe. You can see all Justin's camera issues that he had, which was
Yeah.
phenomenal. And then, of course, the rating, as always, 5 stars. We
Mhm.
appreciate the 5 stars. And I think that's it, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, everyone, thank you for listening to episode number 217 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike,
I'm Justin.
and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.